Hi everybody, Ben from Nutshell here, and joining me now in person for the Boundless 2020 After Show is Nutshell's own customer success manager, Kristen Gray. Kristen, as always, it's great to see you.
Great to see you.
Kristen joined Nutshell as a customer support specialist about 3 years ago and went on to essentially self-create the role of customer success manager at Nutshell, which has had a tremendous impact on retention and revenue at the company. And so today I want to take a deep dive into exactly how you pulled this off and how other growing companies can follow in your footsteps, particularly subscription-based companies like ours. So take us back to the beginning. What made you first realize that we needed a formal customer success function at Nutshell? Was it a problem you identified or an opportunity you spotted? What set it all into motion?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. So I was working in a support capacity at the time. I was having a lot of conversations with customers on the phone, via email, by chat, about issues they were running into. I was facilitating a lot of product feedback to my developers. And one of my roles at the time was to process cancellation forms, and that's not a process that we automate at Nutshell. So I had my eyes on all of these cancellation forms from hundreds of customers who could have been great product fits for Nutshell, but were choosing to leave because they were failing to see ROI with Nutshell. And while the support team is highly skilled, they failed to provide the level of care that it took for these customers to receive ROI with our CRM. There was one conversation in particular that I can remember. A customer reached out and let us know about their deadline. They said, hey, we have 2 weeks to decide whether or not Nutshell is going to be the CRM platform that we take with us into the future. And I was so grateful for that opportunity to have the conversation and begin to turn it around. So we were able to keep them. That was 2 years ago, and they just hit the $20,000 lifetime value benchmark, which
Wonderful.
is huge.
Yeah.
So I started to brainstorm about how many other customers were out there who weren't vocal and weren't reaching out. And I know how hard it is to turn the conversation around as soon as they submit the form. So that was really kind of what set it into motion, was understanding that these cancellations were preventable.
So what was your starting hypothesis? How did you feel you could best take advantage of this opportunity?
Yeah, so we had tried a customer success initiative at Nutshell in the past before my time, and it was a bit of a copy and paste approach that we had learned from competitors, right? Selling onboarding in units of time and not whether or not actual value was delivered. So I had the advantage of learning from this false start, but I also knew that I had my work cut out for me. I had to determine which engagement points to impact, as well as the correct metrics to measure, all while working in the full-time queue. My hypothesis was that I could fix our retention problem by proactively reaching out to customers and not waiting until they were in my inbox telling me it was too late to turn it around.
So what did your initial success conversations with new signups look like? Who were you reaching out to? What were the kinds of questions you were asking?
Before I could prescribe a fix, I really needed to expand my level of understanding of the kinds of concerns our customers were facing. So I started by reaching out to new customer signups, 3 seats and above, right, because that indicates that they are a team,
Yeah.
and documenting the kinds of concerns that they were vocalizing. And right at the time, so much of the input that I was receiving was qualitative. It was, paired with human emotion. So it took some time to really get to the heart of what our customers were telling us, right? So it deserved my patience, it deserved my time, and I really let the customers drive the conversation for some time before some themes began emerging.
What were your initial conclusions from that first wave of conversations? What did you learn?
Yeah. So other than learning how much I love working with Nutshell customers to help them solve their problems, I learned that no matter the team size, the company type, or the industry, all new customers at Nutshell needed about the same things, right? They need early and expert guidance with their data migration into Nutshell, bringing all their contacts into the system. They need help configuring their pipelines, if that's a workshopping session, or just helping them understand exactly how technology can help automate their workflow. I also learned that they need assistance with integration setup, data restrictions, so that folks are seeing what they need to see and nothing more. And then also team training, so that their teams could continue using the system long after I helped them and use the platform for years to come.
So you wrote about this a little bit on the Nutshell blog last summer, and I'll drop the link to that in the description of this video. So I know what you did next, which was build a custom pipeline within Nutshell to track all of this. And that's a success in itself, because you managed to prove out a brand new way that Nutshell can be used within a sales organization. So tell us a little about the customer success pipeline that you built within Nutshell.
So looking back, one of the best decisions that I made was to use the system that I was aiming to support. I used our pipeline automation tool to save a lot of time and really focus my efforts on new customers who were interested in receiving our help. So the custom pipeline that I created in a nutshell had several stages. So those stages were interested, planning, meeting, follow-up, nurture, and then funnel towards support. So it's a pretty slick process. I still recommend it to a lot of the customers I help who are using Nutshell for account management. In the first stage, I used Nutshell's email sequencing tool so that I'm top of customers' inbox for about 20 days. If they don't respond in that time, their lead auto closes, right? They're not on my plate anymore because they're getting the answers that they need through, kind of the self-service pipeline. But those who do raise their hand and book an appointment with me, Nutshell automatically progresses those customers forward into the next bucket. So I'm able to invest all of my time with engaged customers who are really excited to receive support.
Got it. So how did you measure the success of your CS efforts? What metrics did you use in the beginning, and did those change over time?
Yeah, so I love this question because I think a lot of organizations can pin the churn number on customer success managers. In addition to that, customer success can be used as this Band-Aid fix for a lot of larger issues within the organization, such as unmet sales expectations, poor service experiences, even just bad product fits, right? So all that being said, I did use the churn rate as a metric that I measured early on because it was easy to track month over month and kind of track along with that progress. In addition to that, it was a good metric to use to compare the churn rate of the cohort of customers I worked with the churn rate of the customers I didn't. So even though the churn rate helped me at that time, I still kind of view churn as the dark side of customer success, right? It's easy to lose focus on growth when you're all of your time is kind of sunk into this cohort of customers who weren't able to solve their problem using your tool. So it's still kind of it's a metric that I pay attention to, but I've lifted my gaze just a little bit to kind of expand my understanding of who is successful and focus my attention there, right? So all of this to say that I'm trying to put my name on revenue.
Absolutely. So along the way, your customer success efforts evolved from just part of your role as a customer success specialist into this full-time job where you now have ownership over this really critical piece of Nutshell's business. What was that transition like? Did it take some convincing of company leadership, or did they see the value of this right away?
Totally, yeah. Even when you work for really smart people like I do, they still need to see proof that your idea is going to pay off. So I'm a calculated risk taker. I get that. It took me about 12 months to deliver some metrics and some proof that I could really hang my hat on. I exhibited a lot of curiosity and flexibility on the how, and then really crossed my T's and dotted my I's when it came on which metrics I needed to deliver upon and the timeline that I had to deliver. So after about 10 to 12 months of religious data logging, I had this, proof that my hypothesis was not only going to prevent customers from churning, but we were actually seeing customers grow, right? It was going to be a lucrative decision for the organization. Yeah. So, I think it was a big shift, but overall it was, very much worth the time that I invested in proving that it was going to be lucrative, because today I get to come into work every day and know I serve this really critical role, and that feels good.
So let's move on to the really exciting stuff, which is the impact of your efforts. So from the beginning of your customer success journey until today, what have been some of those key results?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, prospects convert more easily knowing that as soon as they sign up, there's someone on the other side who's accountable for their success. Secondly, the cohort of customers that I continue to work with actually has a negative churn rate, meaning that they're expanding faster than they're churning out. And then finally, I have seen the average lifetime value of customers expand by hundreds of dollars just in the 9 months that I've been doing this work full time.
Yeah. One thing you told me recently is that getting the job is different from having the job. So how has your role as CS manager evolved over the last year or so, and how have you had to adapt it?
Yeah, I did say that. I think what this experiment has really taught me is that I come to life when I'm in deep problem-solving mode, right? There was this retention issue, and I really kind of activated during that time. Today, right, I get to do this every day, but for our customers. When I was learning how to, kind of make this experiment successful, what really changed in me is I adopted this mentality that Nutshell was my business, and I operated under this integrity, this level of integrity that was really unique to a business owner. So that's what made me successful, kind of carrying through this experiment, and it's the mentality that I now adopt with every customer-facing interaction that I have, right? Just because someone is kind of coming to the conversation with a different level of knowledge or understanding of tech doesn't make them any less brilliant or capable. So, one thing that I like to do before my calls with customers is I'll look at their About Us pages online, learn about their mission statement and the problems that they're really passionate about solving. It's impossible to lack empathy after all of that,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's so great to be supporting really inspirational entrepreneurs out there doing incredible things. So I love that, and it was really exciting for me to build the department. But it's still exciting every time I get to have a conversation with a business owner who really wants to use Nutshell to help get them to the next level.
How often do you revisit your own process, whether that's the size of the companies you're reaching out to, the metrics you use, even the stages in your pipeline?
Yeah, great question. So it's no secret that I'm trying to scale my department at Nutshell. So for the time being, it's just me. Check back with me in a year.
Yeah.
That means that during a really high sales season, for example, I might need to stay in really tight communication with the sales team, just so that we're not disappointing new customers if they are expecting onboarding support right away, right? So I stay in really close communication with them. I would say like daily communication. As far as the pipeline goes, I revisit that about once a month. That gives me the time frame I need to kind of adapt my process to reflect seasonality. So during our seasonal dip in sales in the summer, I decided to pivot away from new customer onboarding, which wasn't going to take a lot of my time, and instead focus on the cohort of customers who had been with us for a long time, right? So I was able to check in with them, see how they were doing, make sure they were on track to stay successful using Nutshell and continue to grow. In addition to that, I launched an initiative called, I call it the Shipping News, right? It's a monthly video that talks about product releases over the past 30 days, right? The pros are calling this continued onboarding these days. I started doing just like quick 2-minute videos to talk about what was new in Nutshell, and I still do it today because customers seem to really like it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think about it once a month helps keep me in tune with customer need and seasonality.
So we've spoken a lot about what you did at Nutshell to stand up a customer success department that reduces churn, that it increases expansion revenue. So for anyone watching this, before I let you go, are there any advice or pro tips you can give to someone else who might be thinking about creating a customer success program in their own company?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, please add me on LinkedIn if you are starting a customer success initiative at your organization. I would absolutely love to live vicariously through you and learn about some of the problems that you're trying to solve. I do have some advice on how to start something new within a company. First of all, be vocal. Share a lot of excitement about your ideas and what you think is possible. Be flexible and creative on the how, but really make sure that you're agreeing on the measurables so that you have something to deliver upon as you're doing your monthly check-ins and so on. In addition to that, it can get really lonely when you're starting something on your own. So I've found it really successful to kind of loop in the team and talk about what I was excited about, so that I was sharing updates and all hands meetings. And I created a Slack channel so people could cheer on our success, and really make it about the team and driving all of us forward. On the CS specific side, I think it is really easy and time saving to automate cancellation forms. But if you can, try to avoid it, or at least do quarterly cancellation report check-ins, just so that you're understanding why your customers are leaving. If you are finding that in their forms they're saying that your product is too difficult to implement, or they're not seeing ROI with your solution, you already have built a case for customer success at your organization. Anecdotally, so much of what I learned about the work I do today, I learned in brick and mortar, right? I come from a retail management background, and if you can imagine, a customer comes to the register and they have an item with them. They want to be validated and told that they've made the right choice, right? Even a simple styling suggestion or compliment goes such a long way, because they can tell that you care beyond that interaction at the register. You want them to be successful long term, and ultimately get their loyalty, right? Get their customer loyalty and bring them back. So that is, so little has really changed about the work that I do. People still want to be told they found the right product fit and the right product. They want to be trusted and they want to trust you. I think that if you can get that balance right, you will drive company revenue.
Excellent. Well, that's my last note card. Thank you so much for sharing all these wonderful insights and for all the hard work you put in Nutshell and for our customers.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Kristen Gray, everybody. And thank you for watching. Take care, everybody. See you next time.